Dr. Anderson from Life Essentials Chiropractic in Missouri City, and today I want to talk to you about a condition called scoliosis. So the word scoliosis, what I've realized in practice is that there's a lot of confusion around that term, what it means, if it's a big deal, if it's not a big deal. Sometimes it's really scary. Sometimes people think they need surgery. Sometimes people do need surgery, and sometimes people go their whole life and they have no idea they have it. So I just want to take a minute and just kind of clear some of this up a little bit. So normal, anatomy of the human spine, it should be obviously straight up and down. In this position, the spine is balanced biomechanically and also neurologically. There's no irritation on the joints, the discs, or the nerves. The muscles are balanced in tone and tightness. And usually, this anatomical position is stress-free, right? Scoliosis refers to a large global curve. So sometimes it's one curve, sometimes there's 2, 3, 4, 5 curves. There's lots of ways it can happen. And then it usually creates a rotational component as well. So the problem here is that, there's many different areas. Sometimes it's just a curve here. Sometimes it's all the way curved over in some really severe cases that can be emergency situations or even life-threatening, and anywhere in between. So what happens here is over time, it creates severe stress on the joints, which can cause arthritis or disc herniations or problems with pain or issues with the musculoskeletal system, but also it can create issues with the nerve system. Obviously, if you put that much pressure on a nerve root that goes to a vital organ or body part, or sometimes there's even mechanical pressure of the spine affecting lung function or heart function in really severe cases, right? Not to be all doom and gloom about it, but those are the fewer cases. The more common cases are usually mild and usually very improvable and manageable without bracing or surgery with rods in your spine, as long as you get to it soon enough and it's not progressing. Scoliosis can progress on average, 4, 5, sometimes 6% annually, but when you're in your adolescent and teen years, sometimes it can progress very rapidly when you're going through a growth spurt or something like that. So some of the causes are unknown. Sometimes there's unknown causes. Sometimes scoliosis can be hereditary and it can run in your family. It's several times, usually some research says 7 up to 14 times more likely to be handed down from females to females versus males in the family. Nobody really seems to understand why. Sometimes it's traumatic. Sometimes there's an injury or accident that's severe enough to shift the spine. Sometimes it happens where there's a traumatic birth event where the neck is pulled and twisted severely during a traumatic birth event, and there's research showing that can develop a neurologic reaction that triggers a scoliosis as you grow over time. There's an association sometimes with competitive dance or cheer gymnastics. If the spine is at risk and not taken care of while your children are doing those sports, and there can be an association over time with developing scoliosis from those types of things. I played football for 9 years. I got banged up, I broke lots of bones, so I get that our kids can go through a lot of wear and tear in sports. It's important for their bodies and spines to be taken care of during their sports. But in our office, we have on-site digital X-ray where we can measure and analyze those things to the millimeter. And in many cases, it's actually reducible. There's a small percentage of chiropractors that specialize in what's called corrective care techniques, like we do in our office, where we can image the spine, measure specifically, track millimeter by millimeter over time, and look for improvements where you can just start to move and train and start to reduce and stabilize and create stabilization rehab to capture changes. And it's not always totally correctable. In fact, most of the time it's not going to be totally correctable. But if we can reduce the curvature and reduce the stress and reduce the symptoms and the pain and the risk factors associated with it, many times people can live a great, healthy, long life without rods or bracing. Now, in severe cases, it can be life-threatening. Like I said, when you get to here, that can be life-threatening where you have to get rods fused in to save your life or something like that. But I would say that those are the few cases. The more common cases, you'd be surprised. Sometimes people even go many, many years through their life and they start getting tightness or stiffness or range of motion, or they see asymmetry. Some of the warning signs are, you might see posture patterns like this where there's what's called a translation of your shoulder or a shoulder drop. And that's because the spine is shifting. Or you might see your hips rotated in the mirror, or you might notice that, like ladies, sometimes what they'll notice is dresses don't fit equally on the straps. One dress strap has to be cinched up a lot and the other one doesn't, and that's because of the rotation or translation. So the bottom line is, the message is that the sooner you start to deal with scoliosis, it's always better, it's always safer, it's always easier, it's always more improvable, more manageable But there's a lot of options for people like that. So if that's you, or that's your child or loved one, we'd love to talk to you about what your options are. If that sounds like something that you could benefit or your child could benefit from, just go ahead and click the link and set up time to talk to us.